Good morning, everybody, and welcome juniors to our Junior Open House student panel. We are very excited to welcome you to campus virtually and provide the opportunity for you to learn what it's like to be a student at the University of Maine at Farmington. My name is Brian Weiner, and I'm a recent graduate from UMF with a degree in psychology. I'm currently employed in the admissions and student life offices, and I will be moderating our panel today. In a moment, a few of our current students will appear on screen. They have graciously volunteered to join us today to share their experiences and love for Farmington. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to jot them down. We hope you'll consider joining us for our live question and answer session this Friday at 2 p.m. If you're unable to make it, you're always welcome to reach out to us directly. Without further ado, let's begin our panel. Good morning, panelists. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. To kick us off, could each of you please introduce yourselves and share a little bit about what you're studying and how you decided on that particular major?
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela and I am from Oxford, Maine. And I was previously a secondary ed English major for 3 years, and throughout my education courses, I realized I cared a lot about educational policy. So I decided to self-design my major to inclusive educational policy with a concentration in leadership and the creative arts.
Hi, my name is Miranda. I'm from a small town of Sabattis, about hour south of here. I am currently a double major in applied mathematics and actuarial science. I actually came into UMF this past fall as a history major, and in my first semester I took a history course and an introductory statistics course. And while I loved both, because Michael Shepner, the history professor, hilarious. While I loved both, I think that I work better with math, and so I decided to change my major, and I'm really happy with it.
Hello, I'm Jessica. I am from Brockton, Massachusetts, and I am a senior elementary education major with a concentration in math. I knew I always wanted to be a teacher, and so I have been in the same major since I got here and absolutely love it.
Howdy, I'm Allie. I'm from Hudson, Massachusetts. I'm an outdoor recreation business administration major. Originally, I came in as secondary ed math, and I joined the women's rugby team, and through there, I realized that I had a really big passion for rugby, and I worked at a camp over the summer, so I decided to combine the two together, and that's how we got it.
Hey, I'm Brock Buber. I'm a triple major in actuarial science, applied mathematics, and business economics. And I also have a minor in theater. I'm from the small town of Atna, Maine, which is about an hour and a half north of here. It's like northeast. And yeah, I just really enjoy all things mathematics, which is why I've sort of buried myself in it.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. My name's Caden, and I am from the small town of New Harbor, Maine. And my major is elementary education with a science concentration and also a special education minor. I have always been really passionate about education, and I really love working with kids. And so Farmington was the perfect fit for me.
That was great, everybody. Thanks so much. So everybody arrives at the decision of what to study at college in their own way. And the same is true about choosing a college to attend. Panelists, could you please describe how you decided that the University of Maine at Farmington was the college for you? Give us some insight into your college search.
So for what seems like long but also short years ago, I was a senior in high school and I was applying to, I think, 11 or 12 schools. I mostly was looking at size and in a rural area. And really what drew me to Farmington was the community, and also knowing that the teacher preparation program was something that had a lot of merit to it, specifically in the state of Maine and other surrounding areas in New England. So that was really why I chose UMF. I really loved the community the minute I stepped on campus. At my accepted student day, I felt like I was a part of the community already. People made me feel welcomed. So that was what made me really excited to become a Beaver.
Mine's kind of funny. In my 8th and 9th grade year of school, I absolutely fell in love with UMF because a lot of my teachers and a lot of my family friends were all alum. And so I always heard stories about it. I fell in love. And then in a fit of just teenage volatility, I completely swore off main schools until the fall of my senior year, which was a little more than a year ago now. And I actually decided to apply to UMF on a whim. I was like, if I'm gonna go to UMaine school, I guess it'll be Farmington. I liked it once, I'll do a tour. And then I toured on the windiest day in December, and I absolutely fell in love with campus. The way that it's so a part of the community, which you'll hear a lot, I think, as people talk about UMF, is the word community, because that's really what we are here. We're very tight knit. And I could really tell that with not only my tour, but the info session that I had, meeting the admissions counselors and seeing how passionate they were about UMF, really made me want to become part of the family. And so I fell in love right when I visited.
So for me, I went to high school with 4,000 plus students. So I knew I wanted a small school with a great community. And I was looking for really the top education program I could find. So I applied to 4 schools, all out of state. I knew I wanted to move a car ride away. So that was what I was looking for. And I toured UMF, and I had the best tour guide. So that was really important. And this tour guide was so bubbly and energetic and just had the best attitude about their job and about UMF. And I fell in love with every single person that I met on campus. And it just absolutely made UMF feel like home. So for me, that was an easy decision.
For me, in high school, I always wanted to be like a neurosurgeon, but then junior year hit and I realized that I was not fit for medical school. So then I started thinking about different career paths, and I thought about becoming a teacher. And then I received the pamphlet in the mail from UMS, so I was like, huh, interesting, because I'd never been to Maine before, and I was like, their teaching program looks really cool. So then I went to an open house, fell in love. I like how integrated it was with that community. I liked how everything was small and like kept together. But like also like there's also a lot to do in town, so I felt like I had a lot of resources, and like I didn't have a car anyways, so like I felt like I really didn't need a car if I were to come here. And the teaching program and everything just really drew me in.
When I started my college search, all I really knew is that I wanted to go into actuarial science. Like, it really called to me, the statistics and whatnot. So I went through and I was like, oh, #1 actuarial science schools. And like I went through and I applied to all these big schools that like were just very, very unwieldy for me. And of course I still applied to like the local schools like UMO, UMF, because free application. So it turns out I hear later down the grapevine that UMF has an actuarial science program, and I was like, yes, that's perfect, because I'm echoing, I think what somebody else said, but the sense of community here is absolutely fantastic. And I was so worried when I first came to college about like, oh man, I'm just an eccentric, bubbly guy that people might, they see me and they're like, oh my goodness, Brock, calm down, But I feel here like I really have a sense of like friends, just surrounded by friends, I would say.
The downside of going last year is that I'm going to say a lot of things that everybody else has already said. But for me, when I was doing my college search, I knew that I wanted to go into teaching. And, when people ask you in high school, oh, what do you want to go to school for? And, I said, oh, teaching. And they said, oh, so you're applying to UMF? As if it was like almost a given thing. And of course, yes, I did apply to UMF. UMF was actually the only school that I applied to. So my guidance counselors weren't too happy with me about that, but I knew that I wanted to go here because I'm from a small town, and Farmington very much has that small town vibe, but you can walk to a movie theater from campus. And to me, that was just like the craziest thing ever, because for me back home, it was like an hour drive to the nearest movie theater. So I was just in heaven, and the whole campus community is just great, and the programs are awesome.
Great, thank you, everybody. So thinking back to when you began college, could a few members of the panel please share a piece of advice or an observation regarding the differences between high school and college academic expectations or workloads?
Thinking back to when you began college, that was like 8 months ago. I'll try to remember. So I think like one of the main differences, my high school was very relaxed about deadlines, and that's definitely not the case with college. When you get here, like there's definitely a set of responsibilities that you have to take on. But I think that one of the things that is different about college is, there's a lot more discussion about things in your classes and everything, which is really great because I think a lot of people learn really well when you talk about things. And because we have such small class sizes, especially if you're coming from a bigger high school, we have such small class sizes that you're able to not only connect with your other students and learn from your other students, but you're also able to learn from your teacher and have a personal relationship with your teacher. And I think that's definitely something that I like more being in college, is having that personal relationship, because I learn really well in discussion-based environments, and that's what I do really well in. And so that's what I found here at UMass.
Going off that, I think the first thing I really realized freshman year is you are in charge of your own education. So I think, you're going to have a bunch of reading. I mean, I had a lot of reading in high school, but it's really about spacing it out and figuring out a schedule that works best for you. It's not like high school. You don't have to go to school necessarily from 7:45 until 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then have your activities and dinner and homework. It's not like that. It's really what you make of it. You can have an 8 a.m. or you can have a class that starts at 4 and goes till 9. It's really just you're in charge of your schedule. You're in charge of your activities that you want to do, when you hang out with your friends, when you go to dollar movie night. It's just, it's so important to know that it's a whole different experience. It's a great experience, way better than high school, and you're going to love it.
Yeah, going more off of what Jess is talking about, you definitely do have a lot more freedom over your schedule. And for me, when I came into college, I loved to get involved with extracurriculars. So that was like my top priority. And I found that as I added more extracurriculars, I started to struggle with my academics. So it was a long learning curve of how to make my academics and my extracurriculars work at the same time. But definitely just keep on working at like time management. And it's going to take a while to learn what works for you, but eventually you'll find it out and it'll all work.
Thank you, guys. So keeping with the topic of academics, we all have that academic experience or class that was especially memorable for one reason or another. Could you please tell us about a class you've taken at UMF that was particularly meaningful or special?
So I have so many that I talk about, but I'd really like to share my practicum experience. I took it in the fall semester of my sophomore year, so I still kind of felt a little bit like a baby, but also like I was used to campus and I had some friends. But it was a really big responsibility to be teaching English in a 7th grade classroom. It changed my life because it helped me. I was already a fairly organized person, but doing that, it's not your actual student teaching, but a lot of times people associate it with student teaching because you get that classroom experience, but you also have your support system with your professors and your mentor teacher. It really helped me gain a sense of responsibility and ownership over my life. I feel like it was the 3 courses that turned me into an adult. And it was just, yeah, I am still very close with all of the people that were in my practicum cohort, and I know that we will be lifelong friends. We will always talk to each other. And for those of them that are going to stick with teaching, those are the people that they're going to fall back on when they struggle or they need advice, or maybe they're thinking of different kind of career paths.
For me, one class that was really meaningful for me was my PhD class. PhD is like our physical education class. Everybody has to take it. And I took it in my spring semester of freshman year. And originally I was just like, showing up. It's just like another gym class, like whatever. But I got to get used to how like our fitness and recreation center works. And for me, like I was always intimidated to go to the gym because I never knew how like anything really worked. So like to have that opportunity and to find like my little home in the FRC, I found that to be really meaningful. And now it's like, I love going there all the time. Favorite people there.
For me, mathematics usually comes fairly natural to me, which is part of the reason why I went into actuarial science. For me, I sort of hit a math wall, as it's so to speak, in Lori Cobin's Calculus 2 class. And it was this point, it was a period of 3 weeks where it was a optional homework class. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And essentially there was daily quizzes in the class to make sure we were sort of keeping up on the homework. But I had not been doing well on those daily quizzes. And Lori Cobin hands one across the desk, and it's got this little note scrawled at the top. And it essentially boils down to, Brock, I know you can do better than this. I know you can get over this math wall, as she likes to put it. She says, everybody has a math wall. You'll hit it eventually. And boy, oh boy, did I hit that brick wall running in Calc 2. And I would just like to say the teachers here, since the class sizes are so small, the teachers really get to know you, and they can really sort of get inside your head and say, Brock, I know you can do this, and then motivate you to get over that math wall. Or I guess any subject wall.
For me, in elementary education, we have a block of classes called our practicum block. And in one of those classes, we did a collab. So it was a K through 3 literacy class and also a technology in the classroom that were working together. And we did a project in a local classroom about problem scoping. And through that class and through that experience, we were actually able to go present in Atlanta, Georgia, about the activities and the research that we did in that class. And we presented to the Association of Teacher Educators. And, opportunities like that just happen all the time at Farmington because the professors are really, really passionate about what they do, and they want to, take you along for the ride and share their passion with you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing such a variety of great experiences. That's great. Moving away from academics for a minute, how is life outside of class at college different from high school?
So when I was in high school, I was such a morning person, and now I'm finding that I am not a morning person. I used to find it really easy to get up for work at like 5 a.m. and now it's really hard to get out of bed for all of the 8 a.m.s that I chose myself this past semester. Has been rough. And I chose more for next semester because I'm trying to hold on. But yeah. You have so much more thank you. You have so much more responsibility in college. And you really get to choose, you choose your schedule, you kind of choose like how, not only for your classes, but for your social life. So you really have a lot of freedom, and it's kind of like what you do with that freedom. And you have to remember, I think a piece of advice that I try to hold on to while I'm doing all of this is classes are super important, and you should definitely go to class almost all of the time. But you have to remember, that, you are in college, and it's not only about the academics, but it's about the experience. And so, like, I'm on the Ultimate Frisbee Club Sport team here at UMF, and so I've got a really close-knit group of friends, and we hang out all of the time. And so, I'll have assignments due the next day or something, and they'll invite me to go watch a movie or something all together. And, it's important to find balance, because academics, once again, very important, but go to movie nights, go to programs in your residence hall, go to events at the Landing at 8 p.m. at night, go to the Super Bowl party at the Landing, like go to the Beaver Lodge at midnight before it closes. So you have a lot of freedom, but you have to remember, like, it's okay to not maybe blow off an assignment, but put it off a little bit to have some fun time and really enjoy yourself.
I think balance, right there, what Miranda said, is the key word, because if someone had told me freshman year that, you don't have to do homework on Friday nights, I would have loved that. And I really didn't realize that until probably second semester, really beginning of sophomore year. Give yourself at least one night off. I I love 8 a.m.s. I love, doing my assignments and talking with my teachers, but it's so important to find the balance of going out to the roost, going to dollar movie night, and making sure, you're making time for you, going to the gym and getting involved, because it is college. You're not just sitting in a desk for 6 hours. It's about the whole experience. And if you don't get involved and find that balance, you're going to miss out. So yes, school is important. I'm sure you'll have everyone in your life telling you that, get those grades so that you can get into the master's program and get a job. But that's all going to come when they see that you can balance your life with different activities and friends. Maybe you get a job because you just like working. You have to find what works for you. And that's what college is all about.
I feel like life outside of class, like compared to college and high school, I feel like just like my entire personality is different. Like whenever I go home for like breaks and stuff, like I always feel weird because I feel like my high school self. Whereas like here, like UMF, like whenever I'm here, like whether it's even in class or like outside of class, I feel like I am more of like myself. And I feel like it's easy for, like in college, it's a lot easier to like establish who you are and figure out like what you are, and like how you work. So that's just like one real big difference. Because in high school, I felt like I was just like, all right, I do this, I do that, I do that. This is who I am. But then I'm like, no, you're not. Now in college, So.
For me, I would say that like one of the major points that I think is one of the best parts about living on campus is just having your friends incredibly close to you. I know right now I'm in a residence hall, and my former roommate, now neighbor, is living right down the hall from me, and it's amazing having just your friends so close to you, and like at the blink of an eye, you can be like, "Yo, hey, what's happening?" you know. Whereas in high school, it's like you see each other at school, you maybe are like in the theater club, so you see each other an extra 2 hours after school. Like it was never like they're always like they sleep there, You could be sleeping, I could go over, hey. And to sort of twin off that, finding a balance between sort of having 24-hour access to your friends and finding time for yourself. Because that's another thing, is you have to find those moments where you can sort of focus in and think, where am I going? What am I doing? What do I have on my plate? Because otherwise you'll find yourself sort of overextending.
So Brock touched on this a little bit, but more specifically, could a few panelists describe what it's like to live on campus in a residence hall at UMF? What's that like?
So I might have a little bit of a different perspective than anyone else that answers, because I was a community assistant for 2 years. So my first year of college, I did the regular roommate situation. I ended up being roommates with someone that I went to high school with. But I was a CA for 2 years, so I had a really big sense of responsibility in the hall. And being a community assistant, or other schools might call them an RA if you're unsure of what that is. It's basically someone that I would get paid to live in the residence hall, and I would have a room to myself, and I would just do programming and have floor meetings and hall meetings and work with all of the other community assistants to ensure that there's a really strong sense of community in the building. And so a lot of times I would get knocks on my door at 2 a.m. from residents that had maybe roommate issues, or I would also get notes put on my door before a concert, a Clef Notes concert, and my residents would wish me luck or tell me they're going to be there. So being the CA in the hall was a little different than just being a regular resident, but it's so much fun, and it allowed me to get to know everyone in the hall and build relationships with a wide variety of students rather than maybe staying in with my close bubble of friends.
I think I'm still in the residence hall right now as well. Hi, Brock. But I think one of the positives, especially like about 95% of students live on campus their first year, and we kind of recommend that and kind of require it because we want you to be surrounded by kind of a support system. So like when I first came in, I didn't start Ultimate Frisbee, which is kind of like my main group of friends, until 3 weeks into the semester. And so it was kind of just me and my roommate navigating everything. And we went to a couple programs, and we became best friends with the two girls that lived next to us. And so we we met, and then that second night, that we had after we had met and everything, we spent that next week watching the entire Saw series together. And we had just met. College is so wacky like that, you know, like it's like kindergarten again, honestly. Like you meet someone and then you're just like best friends automatically because you're all like trying to figure out college, trying not to get lost on campus. And so being in the dorms, is actually, you know, it's pretty awesome. It feels like if you're at summer camp, if you like summer camp, like just all the time, because, you know, you're in an unfamiliar place, you get to decorate the walls and, you know, make your bed look how you want it, and you don't have to make it because your parents aren't there. If you do make it, props to you. No, I don't. But yeah, I think it's honestly like that. It's a little bit of summer camp, a little bit of kindergarten, where just like everyone is like, it's especially if you're surrounded by freshmen, like everyone is eager to make friends, so it's super easy. And it just makes like coming into college so much better because you're surrounded by all of these people that are also doing like and trying to navigate college just like you. And it's just awesome. I am moving off campus after this semester, but I know a lot of people will say the same thing, but I think I'm gonna miss the residence halls because it's been a wild time.
And to sort of jump off having friends in the residence halls, one of the things that we do for incoming freshmen is we match them up with their, they take like a brief survey, and I believe it's student services or one of the departments matches them up with basically who they feel would be the best roommate for them. And for me, that was a terrifying experience because I like at my house, I'm always in my own room. I'm like, I could shut the door if I want. I can have my privacy. I was like, I'm gonna have to live in the same room as somebody. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, what if he likes sports? What if he's a jock? Or uh, and honest to God, and now 4 years later, I've been roommates with him all 4 years, and I can honestly say he's one of the best friends I have here at the University of Farmington. You will develop connections that will last you a lifetime. Honestly.
So just like Michaela, I was also a community assistant. So, we kind of have that other perspective. Like we work really closely with first year students too. And I would say, kind of going off of what everybody else has said too, it's such a blessing to be able to live and you do your schoolwork next to some of your best friends in the world really while you're here at school. And that's such a cool opportunity. But the other thing is too, when you're coming in as a first year student or as a transfer student or anybody coming in to live in the residence halls, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you have your door open all the time and you're going to community events, then you're going to get a lot out of it and you're going to meet so many amazing people. And that's just what I would encourage is when you finally, you get into those residence halls, like take advantage of everything that it has to offer because you won't regret it.
So you all talked a little bit about programs, the UMF community, and making friends. Could each of you talk about what you do for fun at college? What are some on and off campus recreational activities at Farmington? What are you involved in on campus?
So on campus, I have 2 work-study jobs, and for obviously 2 years, I had 3 work-study jobs. One of them was being a CA. The other one is being a financial literacy peer educator, which started at the end of my sophomore year. And then I work in admissions as a senior fellow, and I've worked there since I was a freshman. I started out as a tour guide, worked my way up to a little bit of leadership as a student leader, and then I became a senior admissions fellow. Outside of my work study jobs, I play rugby with Allie. I'm a scrum half, she's my fly half, and Also, I'm in Clef Notes, which is an a cappella singing group, and we have 2 a cappella singing groups on campus. If you come to an open house in the fall, then you will most likely hear Clef Notes because, or Deep Trouble, because admissions loves to have them open the open house in the morning. So that's pretty much what I do for fun at UMF. I have joined other clubs along the way, but those are the groups that I have really stuck with, and those are like my people and my friends and the ones that I fall back on.
Just a note, I went to the Clef Notes concert at the end of the fall semester and I cried. It was beautiful. Anyways, I just thought I should say that. So I also work at admissions with Brock and Michaela and Allie. Hey. And I love it so much. Definitely recommend working on campus. But the big thing that I'm involved in is, like I said, I am a part of the Ultimate Frisbee Club Sport team. And I had never played before I came to UMF, and I went to, it was 3 weeks into the fall season, and I had, my PhD teacher at the time, who's become a really good friend of mine, he was like, maybe you should just go to a practice. And I was like, you wouldn't believe this if you really know me, but I'm shy before you get to know me. So I was really scared, but I went, and now these people are some of the closest people I've ever met in my entire life. I've never had friends like this before. And so we pretty much do everything together. We've been on a couple of the Mainly Out, our president actually works for Mainly Outdoors, so he's always telling us to go on trips. We've been on a bunch of the full moon hiking trips, which we always do it after it snows, and so that is a calf workout. Oh my gosh. And without snowshoes, by the way. But yeah, the full moon hikes, so great. One of the best things about being in Farmington is you're in the hub of outdoor activity. So full moon hikes, skiing, all that, we do it all as a team, but also we'll go to events in the landing all the time. I have recruited many of my team members to go to yoga with me on Wednesday nights. So much fun. And, sleeping on these dorm beds, they're great. They are, but you need yoga in your life. Let me tell you. So yeah, we try to do everything around campus, but Ultimate Frisbee, going to tournaments, going to practices, is definitely one of the biggest things in my heart and biggest things in my schedule. So
I think the biggest advice you can take from this is to get involved. Wherever you end up, we hope it's UMF, but you have to get involved. It's so important. I got involved in a lot of clubs freshman year, fall semester. I, joined Student Senate right away. You have to run for a position to be a senator. So if you have been on student council in high school, or maybe you're just interested in student government, that's what it is. So I was a senator for 2 years, and then I was UMF student president for the last 2 years. And it's been great. You get to get involved in the campus, work with the administration, and I have met some of my best friends through Senate. I'm also on the women's alpine team for skiing because, as everyone has said, we are in the best area. So, my ski team has skied at Sugarloaf, Sunday River, we train at Titcomb, which is right there, and we offer lessons if you just want to learn. So that's great. And I think also where I met my closest family was at work at the FRC. Work on campus. They will work with you with your schedules for school. If you're stressed and you have too much homework, they're great about getting you coverage, and they understand so much. And they're some of the best mentors I have met. Really was working at the FRC as a lifeguard there and teaching swim lessons. So I think, get involved. And as I say all the time, if there's not something there for you, it is so easy to make a club on campus. I help students with it all the time. And this year alone, we have started 3 new clubs. So it's super easy. And just ask about it. And I think that's one of the best things about UMF.
For me, I do quite a bit on campus. I include my jobs as fun because I do love all the jobs that I do. So I work in the FRC. I do a few different things. I work with little kids in cradles and crayons. I'm also training to become a PhD instructor, actually, so that's ironic. I also work in admissions, and I also tutor in the Learning Commons for mathematics. So that's a fun time. Clubs and organizations I do on campus, a lot of what I do is sports-based. So I'm on the women's rugby team. I just recently joined track and field. I do sprints. I joined the snowboard team this past year, and I also did dance team. What all those things have in common, I've never done them until I got into college, and I love those 4 activities the most, I could say. So like with rugby, I've had opportunities to go play in Florida. With snowboard, I've been able to take advantage of the free pass to TICCOM that UMF offers to all full-time students. And I just keep on having more and more fun with each of them. So really get involved and get out there.
Awesome. So I also work in admissions. Yeah. I've also held other jobs on campus, including tutoring and a version of tutoring which we like to call SI. I'm a current founding member of the Actuarial Science Club, which we started to sort of help out because the major's fairly new, just sort of help out new students and freshmen who are looking into getting into the major, or who are joined up as the actuarial science major. And finally, and not the least, I'm involved in theater on campus, which is we like to call STUMP, which stands for Student Theater UMF. And we put on a lot of events throughout the year. We do this big one called the Stump 24, where we stay up all night for 24 hours, write a play, produce it, light it, costume it, and then perform it at the end of 24 hours. And it's normally hilarious because we've all been up for 24 hours. And at that point, you could, write as much as you want on a script. But if you go up on the stage and you're like, what? So we do all kinds of fun theater events. I'm also involved in the Lawn Chair Pirates, which is the best and only improv group on campus. Those things are not related. And we do a lot of improv comedy shows, around 3 shows a semester for the student body.
So I'm one of those people too. I really love to work on campus, and I love working with the people that I work with. Again, I was a community assistant in the halls. I'm also a peer advisor for the elementary education program. So we take incoming first years and transfer students, and we help guide them through the program. I love doing that, and I love working with the people there. Jess and I worked together a little bit through that. That was awesome. As far as clubs and other things on campus go and off campus, there's so much to do off campus. The town is right there, so you can just walk downtown. There's a Dunkin', there's the movie theater. We have a couple thrift stores downtown too, which is great. As far as hiking goes, there are all kinds of hiking trails and free skiing at TICCOM if you're a UMF student, which is great because I love to ski. A lot of people that go to UMF love to ski, or they learn to ski and snowboard while they're there. Sometimes they aren't the best skier, but they tried, and that's what's important. Other clubs, I was in a community service fraternity called Alpha Phi Omega. Brock was in it actually too. He was my mentor, believe it or not. He's been around for a while. Yeah, tons of things to do on campus.
As you may have noticed so far, college comes with a lot of new experiences. Learning doesn't just stop at the classroom. Internships, student teaching, and hands-on experiential learning are an important part of college for most students. Could a few of you speak to some of your own experiential learning opportunities?
Yeah, so I feel like UMF has made me an experiential learning advocate. A few things that I have done is I have gone to professional conferences, so there will be opportunities for some of your, if you're an ed major, for some of your education classes, you will get to go to conferences and be able to present. I was able to do one not as profound as Caden's. That's amazing that you got to do that. Kudos to you. I did more of a smaller one as a sophomore. And then this past summer, I went to a higher education and financial wellness summit in Indiana at IU Bloomington. And I had never been to a campus like that before. I mean, it's huge. They have a bowling alley in their student union. It's crazy. So that allowed me to really connect with people all over the United States. I have friends that live in California and go to school there now. So that's super cool. And also, my favorite hands-on experience, experiential learning, is my travel course that I took last May. So I went to Panama, and for the first 7 days we were snorkeling. We never resurfaced. We were underwater the whole 7 days. We slept there, ate there, you know. I'm just kidding. But we would go from 10 to noon, and then we'd go eat lunch, and then I'd convince my friends to go jump back in, and we would snorkel for another couple hours before dinner. And then we would go to the labs at night, and we would walk out to the water, scoop things up, walk back to the lab, and we would look at them under microscopes. That's pretty cool. I'm not a big science person, or I wasn't, and now I am. And then we also spent 3 days hiking throughout the cloud forest, and that was crazy because I felt kind of like I was in Tarzan, like I was Jane or something. Like we were in the jungle at one point. We were like using a rope to climb up this hill, and we were like on all fours. It was just a really great opportunity. Saw lots of exotic animals and also really cool waterfalls. And then for our last 3 days, we went to Panama City, and we got to go to a bunch of different museums, as well as sanctuaries for helping animals that maybe were in the wild and have been injured, and so like they're just keeping them in the safe space. And we got to learn about how Panama, which is in Central America, bridged North and South America and changed the world forever. And it's like, I really could honestly have cared less about science before I took that trip, and now like I find ways to integrate science into my life every single day, and I think about that trip all the time. And lastly, I took another travel opportunity. I was able to do the Serve Up service trip to Puerto Rico at the end of March or the beginning of April. I can't remember. But it was a community service trip, and it was partnered with the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship group on campus. You didn't have to be a part of that club to go, but you did have to apply to be able to go, because it was, people wanted to go to Puerto Rico to do a service trip. And it was really great. I got to go with one of my best friends, and I learned so much from a Puerto Rican perspective, because we worked with people that live in Puerto Rico to help. We did tiling on the floors of a house that was destroyed by Hurricane Maria, and just listening to their perspectives of the hurricane, and also listening to their perspectives of like the United States government and how like we own Puerto Rico, but like there's a lot of flaws with it. It's just so great. Like I never would have gotten that opportunity at any other time, and I was just like really blessed to be able to go on that trip, and I learned a lot more than just what it means to serve people.
So at UMF, if you're an elementary education major, you have 3 outside of the classroom experiences. Well, you're still in a classroom, but you're, the teaching figure there. So my first experience was, I think it was, so sophomore year, fall semester. I was in a classroom. It was a first grade classroom, and I was teaching lessons. And that was the point that I realized, okay, good, I'm in the right major. So that's great, but that's really the deciding point of, okay, I've said I want to be a teacher. Is this right for you? And it's so early in your career at UMF. So if you're a little nervous, you're unsure, that's really where you get that feeling that all right, perfect, I'm here, I'm ready to learn. So that's a great experience. You're there about 2 days a week, really for like a half day. Of course, you can go more if you, have availability in your schedule, but it is an awesome time to get your toes wet. And then your next experience really follows, the next year. Mine was, junior year, fall semester again. I just really like taking them in the fall, I guess. So I was in, that's called advanced practicum. So that's where you're there a little bit more during the week, and you're definitely more hands-on. You're supposed to be teaching more lessons. You're really in charge of a classroom while you're there, and the teacher definitely leans on you more, because you'll have a mentor teacher that you're meeting with. They're the classroom teacher. And that was a great experience for me. I learned so much. And that was really the point that I realized which grade I wanted, to teach, and found that I really like little kids. Kindergarten, that's where my heart is. And I never would have expected that. So I think that's really where you learn, what your strong suits are. Maybe you really like teaching math, and that's where you can change your concentration or really declare it. So I really think that was one of the best experiences for me, because I did realize, okay, I know what grade I want to teach. which is important when you think about your next step, which is student teaching, which is the absolute best experience I have ever had at UMF. It changed my life and it made me feel ready to be an adult, to leave college, and to have a real job. So that is a 15-week long really course load. You do have one seminar class once a week. You meet for, I think it was 2 hours, but that is amazing because you sit there and you're all student teaching in different grade levels and you're all really reflecting with each other, learning from this idea. Oh, I did this lesson. You know, what did you do today? How did this go? And so it's a great experience. And I have learned so much, and every interview that I've taken over the last few weeks has really, you know, I turn back to student teaching. I turn back to those experiences because that is where I learned my practice. So I think there's, you know, so much to say about getting outside and doing stuff, whether it be student teaching, whether it be different internships. That's where you learn what you want to do with your life when you grow up, you know? So if everyone right now is asking you, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? If you don't know, that's okay. Come to UMF, do an internship, figure it out, you'll be fine.
So I'm in the same program as Jess, so I'm not going to go into the same details because that wouldn't be fair to you all listening. But I will just kind of touch on how welcoming the off-campus community is of Farmington students. There are a lot of local schools very close by and in Farmington. And for one of them, which you can walk to from campus, which is great, when we were doing that research project that I was talking about earlier, we went into a kindergarten classroom to do some observations, and the kindergarten teacher and I in there just kind of had a great relationship. We kind of hit it off right away, and she invited me back to volunteer into her classroom. That was 2 years ago, so I've been going in there for 1 to 2 days ever since then, kind of helping out during their literacy time. And when she wasn't there, I would lead the class, and just those kind of opportunities where you feel really, really welcomed by the off-campus community just as much as you do by the on-campus community, because the community wants you there and they want to help you with your education. And that's something really cool about Farmington.
I totally forgot to talk about my internship, and I know I said a lot before, but like I said, experiential learning advocate over here. So I got to take part as a policy intern for Educate Maine. It's a small, I believe, nonprofit organization in Maine, obviously. And I was able to really validate how much I love educational policy. I was able to deliver testimony in front of state senators and the Board of Education and just talk about why like a higher ed funding bill should be passed for the state of Maine and why like higher ed is super important for Maine's economy. And so I think like just don't be afraid to do the internship and just kind of like try something. And if you don't like it, then hey, you figured out that you don't like that. And I mean, the same thing goes for your teaching experiences. You may realize I really like the policy side more than I like the classroom side, or you may realize you love the classroom side. So I would just say like, don't be too intimidated if you do things in college and you don't like them, because they're helpful to getting you where you want to go. But yeah, I wanted to share the internship experience because it really helped validate that I made the right choice. I know what I'm doing.
That's awesome advice. So we've covered a lot of different topics during this panel, and as we wind down, I was wondering if you could all please share something briefly that you feel is special about the University of Maine at Farmington.
I'm going to try to not say community because I know I've already said that and everyone else is probably thinking the same thing. Something special about UMaine Farmington, I mean, I go back to experiential learning. You're going to have so many opportunities for leadership and work building skills, like professional building skills. And I think just because we're a close-knit community, that's how you're able to network so well. And also you're going to be pushed. It's a small campus, so there's lots of opportunity to be that leader and, you know, run for president of the club that you never thought you'd be president of. And I think that's what's really unique about UMaine Farmington. You're not competing against 1,000 other students for a job after you graduate. You know who your competition is, but also you know like what you can do with leadership and stuff. And that was something that was really important for me going to college, and it has come to fruition, like more than I ever could have expected at UMF.
I think there's so many things that are special about UMF, but I think one of the big things is that I was so surprised, um, coming to UMF and how quickly it became my home. And I think this is the case for a lot of people. Everyone, oh my gosh, everyone hits the point where, you start saying, oh, I'm going to my other home or something. Like when you talk about Farmington, you start referencing to Farmington as your home. Like, oh, I'm staying home for the weekend. And it was like the first couple of weeks that I started saying that, and I started really like seeing UMF as, and just Farmington as like a community and as a town. Like it just so quickly, um, it I think it's became a home. I think it's because of all the different types of people that you're going to meet here. It's very, very easy to kind of find your people. You will meet like every single like quiet person, bubbly people, like that have all interests in everything. That it's so easy to find your group of friends, to find your family here. That it's so easy to feel at home here. And I think that's one of the most special things about UMF is that it's, coming to college is scary, and you're leaving home, you're leaving a place that you've been forever. So I was definitely surprised, and I'm so happy that I get to call Farmington my home, because I know I found my family here. And I'm so grateful for everything that I've gotten here.
Well, I do have to jump, right in on the same boat and say that, I moved 4.5 hours away. I live in the city, south of Boston, so it was a huge change for me. I was a city girl. I, had never hiked before. I floated down the Sandy, and I had never ski raced before until I came to Farmington. And I think what made me really get involved and do all of those things were the people. As a senior here at UMF, I have made the best friends who I will keep in touch with. I have the most amazing mentors and teachers who are rooting for me, emailing me still. The people here at UMF genuinely care about you. The restaurant owners are always asking how your assignments are going, how that class you're struggling with, is going. And we have Java Joes. If you've never heard of Java Joes, you need to come to Farmington, because I'm going to miss Java Joe's, and we'll have to drive to Farmington just to get it after I graduate. So it really is that serious. It's amazing. I can't say enough about the people. And every, speech I've made or talk I've had with students, I say that there is a place for every single one of you here. We are so welcoming. We hold the door open for each other, and people let you cross the street the first time you're in the crosswalk. Okay, maybe like after December, the people are like, whoa, hold on, press the button. But they do, and they're so friendly, and they're my family. They really are. I can't say enough about the people here. And they, even the administration, they care so much about you. Thinking about what's going on right now in the world, we are so lucky to receive a email a week from our administrators just checking on us, making sure that we are taken care of as students, as people first. They go above and beyond here at UMF to make sure that you have everything you need. So I think that our family here at UMF is so special, and it's a special place, and you won't find it anywhere else. I promise you, I looked.
Yeah, mine's basically just the same message but different words. But Farmington just has a big heart, and everybody has a lot of passion. Like, you could think of the craziest idea ever, and there's going to be at least one faculty or one person here in this town that like backs you up fully, 100% support. Like, they're already doing research on it. They're like, oh, look at this. It's just crazy how much like people care about you, and how like selfless of like a culture there is here in Farmington. Like, everybody's here for each other, and it's very welcoming to be around.
Yeah. So I can definitely reemphasize the importance of community here on campus, but definitely with a focus towards our teachers. I don't think I've had a teacher here like who's the stereotypical like, oh, half this class is gonna fail. Like the scary college professor from the movies and whatnot. Every teacher here wants to see you succeed, and they're fully equipped to know how to do it. And they, I've said it once, I'll say it again, due to the small class sizes, they really get to know you, and you get to really know them. So you can go to them. You can say, "Hey, I don't understand. What's an integral, or what's this, what's that." That, and you really get to know your classmates in the classes as well. And you could go to them and say, "Hey, what's an integral?" Hey, you can walk to their dorm and go, "Hey, what's an integral?" It's that kind of community is what I really value here at Farmington.
Brock, you took mine, but that's okay because I'm going to talk about the professors anyway because that's how much I love them. The professors here, top notch. I mean, I have professors that I had them for one semester my first year, and they still say hello to me by name in the hallway when I pass them by. I've had professors, they invite their students over to Thanksgiving dinners because they know that, students might not be able to leave right on time for Thanksgiving. When I'm having one time I was having a really rough day and I was just kind of sitting down in the lobby, and one of my professors came up to me and she was like, "I noticed that you're like quite not yourself today. Like, what's going on?" Like, they just care so much, and I just can't express that enough. I mean, they're just awesome. They really make it special.
Thank you so much, everybody. So clearly, Farmington is a special place to our students, and the same is true for our faculty and staff. When you're exploring colleges, pay close attention to moments and conversations that feel special to you. To conclude, could each panelist please share one piece of advice you have for prospective students going through their college search process?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the one piece of advice I always give to students during info sessions, and that is to go on every single campus tour that you possibly can when you're searching for colleges or when you start applying to colleges. Go to the big school that you never thought you would ever step foot on. You think you want to go to a really small school, you don't like being around a lot of people. Go and check it out, because it'll either validate that you don't like that feel, or it'll open your eyes to something you never thought you would see yourself doing. And also, I would say really pay attention to the people on the campus. And also, like, if you go to a college and you talk to an admissions counselor and it's awkward, don't blame yourself for that. Like, if you have a really rough interview or something, don't blame yourself for that, because remember, like, they may be interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. And ultimately, college it's your choice. You can go anywhere you want if you get in. And so just really take the time to do the college search, get the feel of the people. If you liked the way that this panel went today, I mean, we've been trapped inside of our apartments and our rooms for like almost 2 months now, and look at how happy we are. We're like radiating talking about UMF. Just know, like, if that's a sense of community that you want, like, UMF's your place. And just, go to every single school and see if you can find that other places too.
To go off what Michaela just said, visit all schools that you're considering, and consider all schools, even if like you've sworn something off. When I was in my college search process as a senior, like beginning of the year, I was fully like, I'm going out of state. I wanted to go to North Carolina. I had no interest in Maine schools. And, there was a part of me that was like, remembered my like 8th, 9th grade self that had loved UMF and had loved Maine. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll apply. Like, I guess I'll visit. And I'm like, I don't know where I would be without UMF. I'm so grateful to myself that I took I remember that day I was like, oh my gosh, you have to drive an hour and, like all this stuff. And I'm so grateful that I came, because I absolutely love UMF and everything that I've gotten here so far. And I'm in my first year, so I'm not prepared for all the memories I'm about to make in the next 3. But also, another little piece of advice, is the people. And I think at this part, like, you know, campus physicality is important, of course. Like, you're going to be living there. You're going to probably be spending, you know, at least 4 years there. It's important that you like the campus. But I think it's important to pay attention how other people talk about, like, their experience at that college. Like, talking to all, like, kind of like Michaela said, talking like all of us, we're super excited about UMF. If you ask any alum, they'll be like, oh, UMF, I went there, I loved it. I have not met one, and I've met a lot of people. You'd be surprised about how many people have gone to Farmington. Like, it's crazy. I meet just people on the street. I was doing a Zoom interview the other day for a brewing company, and she was like, oh, I'm a UMF grad. Crazy. So, like, and she talked about how much she loved it, and she graduated in like 2006. So yeah, you have to pay attention to how people talk about their experience at UMF, or at any college. And I think that you'll find that UMF is a little different in that it's very hard to find someone that didn't have a good experience, and that, you know, if you look at their face, like when they talk about UMF, it's like my face is hurting from this entire panel because I've been smiling the whole time, and I'm trying to like relax my face, but I can't. Like, it's just like whenever I talk about UMF, and once again, I'm a freshman. Like, most of these people are much older than me. Also, if you're up above me, like, you know, and they are talking about, like, they have so much more experience than I do, and they absolutely love everything they've done. I am 8 months in, and I am ecstatic about everything that I've done here. So really pay attention to how people talk about the colleges that you're looking at, because it will say a lot about what your experience might look like and how you're going to feel about it.
I think what Miranda and Michaela said, really hits home is, when you're asking questions, and I think that is my biggest piece of advice, ask the questions, be called the question girl. It's okay. Do it, because it's not necessarily about the answers they give you, but in which, how they answer it. Are they passionate? Are they speaking from experience? Are they bored answering your question? Oh, well, we do have this. It's so important, and it's so telling. That's really what made my decision about UMF. Is I was looking at two schools, one in Vermont and one in Maine. And, I was looking at, okay, well, I want my dorm room to be really nice, and I want, the newest technology. And then I realized that is not important at all. Is it nice? Absolutely. But let me tell you, Farmington is gorgeous. Just check out our Insta. It's beautiful, I promise you. And we do have a lot of great technology, and the dorms are awesome. But that's not what was important. When I was asking those questions, I was looking for the passion, the excitement, and the pride that comes with those answers. Because for me, that meant that they love their school, they love their professors, and they have friends and activities that really, make their journey here so special. And for me, I feel like I'm getting teary-eyed, a senior here, that I am so proud to be a Beaver. But if I had not asked those questions, I don't know if I would have felt that passion. And I think you need to ask them. Ask the silliest question you can think of. I asked someone at Rennie's, love Rennie's, by the way. You need a Rennie's, so you really need Farmington. I asked, what do you do for fun? And the girl said, I actually go to Farmington, and I love floating down the city. What? I live in the city. What do you mean you float down the Sandy? Okay? You get on a float with a bunch of your friends, and you float down the Sandy. It's incredible. So you have to ask those questions. It's so important, because you need to go where you feel is home, and don't let anyone else make that decision for you. Go where it feels right for you, because hopefully you'll spend 4 years here, and you will make some of the most important decisions. And I have to say, I have not met anyone who is not proud to be a Beaver. I just got a job, and my principal is a Beaver. So everyone loves UMF and being a Beaver alum. It's so important to make those connections, ask those questions, and be as proud as us seniors on this panel right now to graduate from UMF. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be the one in that group that's asking the admissions tour guide all of the questions. Do it. You won't regret
Yeah, I totally agree with what the past three people have said. Another thing I would just say is just go with your heart. When I slimmed it down to like my final two schools, I had this list of like all different qualifications, and like I would like rank those two schools like 1 through 10. And I feel like it's just important to like take your time with the process and like also understand like, yes, academics are important, but also there's so much more that comes with the college. Like just keeping your mind that you're investing in this. So you want to be investing in a place where you feel like you'll get a good return. And UMF has a lot of value to it. So that's why I chose UMF, but make sure you're choosing schools that give you that same value. Like you feel like you'll get back more than what you put in.
For me, I personally value like a school, like look for a school where you can see yourself thriving. Like if you look at a school and you say, like, what would I do here? Where would I go? Like, what would I do? That's a natural feeling. But think about where you fit into the puzzle. For instance, I was like, what am I going to do here at UMF? Like, we've got a theater program. I can, put my puzzle piece right in there. I've always been interested in improv comedy. Maybe I'll try and put my puzzle piece over here, See if you can picture yourself there. For me, I found like other schools that I thought about, like I just couldn't picture myself being in, like, for me, I value like a smaller school. I could not picture myself thriving in such a large environment. Yeah.
Kind of going off what Allie said, really just listen to your gut. When you're going to all these different places, when you're participating in things like this, take note of the vibe that you get off the people that go there and the things that they're saying about, everything that the school has to offer. I'll share a little bit of advice from what somebody gave me when I first came to Farmington. College is going to be a little scary. You haven't been to college before. It's not something that you've experienced. You kind of get that little butterflies in your stomach feeling. But when you get that butterflies in your stomach feeling, that's when change can happen. When you feel that, that's when change can happen. So, work through it. And all of us here at Farmington want to help you work through it. And we'd be happy to have any of you there.
Thank you to our panelists, and thank you, juniors, for watching. We hope this was an informative snapshot of the life of a UMF student. We look forward to seeing you at our live Q&A this Friday and at future events on campus. Talk to you soon, and good luck with your college search. Thank you.